What's going on, Kings? It's Keith. One of the hardest spots on the body for men to lose fat on is the love handle area right around your waist here. And so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to get into the exact process to help you lose that fat so you can feel a lot more confident about yourself and feel like you're actually getting the results you want with the diet and with the training that you're following. Now, before we get into that though, hit the subscribe button and bell icon. This channel is all about helping you level up and become that high value winner of a man that you were born to be. Now, let's get started. So the first thing I want to address with you guys is the truth about love handles and this part of your body that you're trying to lose fat on, and that is that you need to understand that this is usually going to be the last spot to go. You can really start to see your abs before you're going to lose that fat, especially on the lower back here. And the reason this is important to understand is because you need to make sure that you're focusing on the right things. If you're starting out as someone who was significantly overweight and you're dropping weight, you need to focus on the fact that you are dropping weight, and it's showing in a lot of other areas. In particular, it's going to show in your face, it's going to show up and around in your chest and your shoulder area, and it's going to start to show in your abs before it shows in the love handle area. And you need to make sure you're focusing on the right things, because if you're constantly beating yourself up because you're like, oh, I've got these love handles that I don't want to have, well, you're really just cutting yourself short. You're killing your momentum. So you want to make sure you're focusing on the right things. So get that in your head. Understand this is going to be the last spot to go typically. And it's going to take about 12 to 13% body fat before you're going to start to notice that kind of narrowing effect towards your waist that most guys are looking for. Before that, obviously, you are going to be losing body fat, and you are going to lose it in the love handle area as well, but it's still going to maintain that kind of cylindrical effect. Maybe depending on your body fat, it might even be that muffin top kind of effect that most guys are really trying to get rid of. But it's going to take until about 12 to 13% body fat, which at that point, you're definitely going to be able to see your ab outline before you're really even going to start to get that narrowing kind of effect. And then it's going to be about 8% body fat before you've really dropped just about the entire thing. Most guys still have some fat held here because this is just a natural place for guys to hold fat. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to focus on when you're dropping those love handles is everybody's favorite word, nutrition. Okay, I know we all want to go train in the gym, lift the heavy weight, and think we're going to magically lose all this fat, but it just doesn't work. Think about an offensive lineman for a second. These guys are jacked. They can bench like 400 plus pounds. They're 300-pound guys, but do they look like they're going to go up on stage and compete in a bodybuilding contest? No, they don't. They look fat. And so that proves my point. Now, obviously, they are doing this on purpose. Their job requires them to maintain that extra body weight. But you get what I'm saying. You can have a ton of muscle and still have a ton of fat. It really doesn't matter. So what it's about is nutrition. You can't outrun a bad diet just by training your brains out in the gym. Now, one of the first places to start with is your protein intake. Make sure you're getting enough protein in your system. 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now, a lot of guys are going to see this and they're going to say, oh, well, if he said 1, I'll just do 2 and I'll go above and beyond and I'll get twice as good of results. That's not how it works. If you get like 360 grams of protein as a 180-pound guy who's not even that muscular yet because you're just starting your fitness journey, you're just not going to get the rewards you're looking for. And it's going to be really hard to maintain because to get that amount of protein, you're going to have to either eat a crap ton of protein shakes or you're going to have to eat foods that are going to cause your fat intake to also increase, which is going to be counterproductive. So I really want you to focus on getting it in this sweet spot. 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound body weight will be plenty for you. Now, the next thing to focus on, reduce your sugar intake. Sugar is going to do 2 things. Number 1, it tends to cause you to hold fat around your waist, around the stomach, and around those love handle areas. So if you really don't want to have love handles, you really need to cut out the sodas, cut out all those things that are causing you to hold fat around your stomach area. Second thing that sugar intake does, causes your insulin levels to be screwed up, your insulin sensitivity, that is. And basically what that means is when you put carbohydrates into your body, they become more likely to be stored as fat. Because basically you have trained your body to become numb to the idea that it's getting all this sugar rush and all these carbs coming in. And so it doesn't burn these carbs and these sugars efficiently. And so what happens is it just stores them as fat. So again, I already mentioned it's going straight to the stomach anyways. And now you're making it more and more likely that it's going to be stuck around your waist area because you're eating too much sugar and you're causing your insulin levels to be jacked up. So reduce the sugar intake. Next thing, no crash diets. This is everybody's thing they want to do. They want to look good in 2 weeks rather than in 2 months, 2 years, and for the rest of their lives. And so what happens is you actually end up making things worse on yourself. Let me explain why. What happens when you drop a ton of weight is you're not only going to drop fat, you're going to drop muscle. And what happens is most people will go on this crazy crash diet that's not something they can maintain. And so after they've done the crash diet, they might lose 20 pounds, but then they gain it back. But what happens is they gain the fat back without the muscle, because in order to regain that muscle, you're going to have to go back and you're going to be training in the gym. So this is what happens to a lot of people. They go on crash diets, they lose a little bit of weight, but they lose muscle as well. Then they put the fat back on and they end up just looking worse at the end of it. So don't do this. Don't cheat the game. Do this the right way. And if you need help with that, you need the actual nutrition. You want to follow a real plan. I made a video breaking down how I lost 35 pounds this year, starting in January to June. And you can click that video right up here if you want to check the entire process out. I go into my training, into the nutrition I followed, into the specific foods I ate, so you can check that out right there. Now let's get on to the second thing you can do. The second thing you guys can do is actually more about an aesthetic change rather than actually dropping the love handles. And this is something that, if you combine it with nutrition, is going to be really powerful for making it look like you don't even have love handles, even if you do have them. And that is getting your shoulders basically to widen out. We're talking about your V taper, and I'm getting ready to explain exactly how you do that, but I want you to think about it like this. You get like a cylindrical looking person, okay? Let's say you haven't trained much, you haven't built your shoulders out, so basically your shoulders to your waist is very close to cylindrical. What is it gonna look like around your waist in that situation? It's gonna be a lot more noticeable. Now, let's think about it. Let's say that you've really spread out your shoulders and your back. You've trained all these areas, and now your shoulders are a lot wider than your waist. You don't even have to do anything else, and you will already look like you're leaner, look like you don't have as much love handles. So it's really about building the right body to go along with this and creating this aesthetic appearance that makes it look like the love handles aren't even really there. And so that's what we call the V taper. Now, the V taper is going to focus on a few key areas. The first one we want to work on are your lats, which is your muscle that runs from right here all the way down to basically where the love handle starts. And if you train this muscle and you spread your back out, what you're going to notice is that you're going to create a V-shaped appearance, which is going to make it less obvious that you have the love handles. So really make sure that you are working your back, and in particular focusing on increasing the width of your back. Make sure you're doing these exercises right when you're doing it. Things like your lat pull downs. A lot of guys, especially if they're beginners, they don't do these exercises correctly. They end up doing a lot of bicep work when they're trying to train their back because they haven't learned how to. So make sure that you learn how to actually train these lats so that you can spread them out. The next area to focus on is your lateral delt, which is the outside head of your deltoid right here on your shoulders. Now, this can be done through things like lateral delt flies, and basically you almost want to overtrain this area and get it to start spreading out as well. Now, the next area to focus on is your upper chest area. Pretty much what we're trying to do is anything up here in this area, and then along with your back, we're trying to spread out. And so what's going to happen is you're going to train your outer delt right here, your upper chest, your lats, and then also your front delt, and basically you're going to create this perception of a very broad shouldered appearance, and then combine that with the slimmer waist, and it's going to create this effect that's going to make it look like you have less love handles. Now, another thing to focus on when you're doing this is making sure that you have good posture. A lot of guys slouch their shoulders forward like this. If you make sure that you are spread out, opening your chest up, your shoulders are naturally going to spread out wider, your back is naturally going to stand out more, which is again going to help you with that V-tapered appearance. Now let's get on to the third thing to work on. The third thing that you're going to want to do is tighten up your abs, okay? This is slightly different than just training your core, because what we're focused on here is making your core slimmer, making it more toned up, not just blockier. I want you to think about the fact a lot of times what guys do when they're flexing their abs is they push their abs out, when in reality abs is something that if you want to flex your abs, you actually want to tighten them up, because otherwise you just get this blocky looking core. Now the thing about this as well is most guys do not consciously control their core area. So on a day-to-day basis, their core is just hanging loose. And that's actually not the proper way for you to carry it. You want to hold your stomach in. So you can look up something called a stomach vacuum to learn how to do that, but that's what I'm talking about when I say hold your stomach in, because this is going to help with that V-tapered appearance. We want to have your core assist the work we're doing on your shoulders and your lats and your upper chest to create that V-tapered effect. Now, obviously, ab training is important for this, but it's most important to make sure that you're holding your stomach in. Now, the next thing to work on is your obliques. Your obliques are the muscle that run right over your love handles, right under your love handles, that is, and they're going to turn right into your V-line. Now, you want to make sure you train these because they are part of making your V-line show up, and also the more you train the muscle underneath the love handle, the less noticeable the love handle is going to become. And contrary to popular belief, it's not going to make you this like blocky looking guy, especially if you're somebody who has done basically no oblique training at all. You don't have to worry about that. Now, one of the best exercises ever for this is something I call a cable torso twist. I think I've got a video of me doing it from a long time ago. I'm gonna put that up on the screen right now so you can take a look at it. But basically all you're doing is you're putting your hands and you're twisting your core across. It's basically a Russian twist with cables. Now what this is gonna do is gonna do a lot of things really positive for getting rid of your love handles. Number one, it's going to cause you, in the way that you're doing it, to tuck your core. So you're going to tighten up that core. You're going to hold your stomach in, and at the same time, you're training your obliques if you're doing this properly. This, to me, is far and away the best exercise for your abs that's going to create that V-tapered effect while also giving you thicker core muscles. And if you combine those two things, getting your core tightened up with actually thickening up the muscles slightly, you're going to notice that your love handles are going to go away significantly. And then when you add in the nutrition, you're going to burn them off as well. You can see some pretty quick results on dropping the love handles if you do this formula I got up here. Now, the fourth thing that I want you to focus on is being patient, okay? Don't focus necessarily on the love handles. Focus on the total progress, because like I said, this is the hardest spot on the body to lose body fat, typically speaking. It's one of the last spots that men lose body fat on. So if you're focused completely on this, it's almost like if you're focused on a pimple you have on your face. It just makes you feel like you're a lot more ugly than you really are. So you're focused on the love handles and not noticing things like your face is slimming up, or you're starting to see definition in your shoulders and your chest. And these are positive things that are noticeable that make you look a lot better. So don't get completely caught up on the love handle. Have patience. Understand this is one of the final pieces of the puzzle to getting that ultimate body that you want. Guys, if you got something out of this video, give me a like, hit the subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss new videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.